criminal scum! What are you doing, tippy-toeing around here, night thief? This is the podcast Raw Dogs. We are part of the Greenlit Podcast Network. Now, pay the fine or serve your sentence. Then pay with your blood! Ah! Oh! No one gets away with that in my city. No! I've been murdered.
Why would you get Chinese from anywhere other than China?
Why would you?
I don't know, because American Chinese food's good too. Like, it's all full of this.
It's all sugar.
It's like it's so good.
But it is fantastic. Like
I love beef and broccoli. Are you kidding me? I'll go to bat for beef and broccoli any day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of Raw Dogs. I am, of course, your second favorite host out of me and Dylan, anyways, the original Raw Dogs.
Well, that can't be true.
Well, I'm one of the Raw Dogs. My name is Brad.
Hi, and then it's me, the favorite.
Yeah, you're my favorite. You're my favorite on the show.
I'm doing that smile with the head tilt.
Dylan, how are you today?
I'm all right. Not feeling the best, but I'm going to work through it.
Over here to my left, this shaggy-looking man.
Dominic, again, I'm back. I'm back for more.
Little John, as they say.
Yeah, Little John.
Little John.
I sent it to a friend of mine, the Persona episode.
Yeah.
And I was like, did you listen to it? He's like, oh, I listened to it, Little John. Don't you worry.
Well, when we were coming home for Christmas, my brother is like talking about Carly's like, and you can tell that dabbing bitch, I'll see her there too. Because that's what she called herself. And I could tell my brother felt weird calling my fiance a bitch, but she called herself that first, you know?
There you go.
And we have a very special guest for this episode.
My name's Nate. I got a face built for radio, so I'm on a podcast.
That's why we all have beards.
Yeah.
We do. This is a very bearded podcast here. Nate, before we get into the episode, Dylan had mentioned the other day that he thinks we should definitely at least mention the attack on the Capitol.
Sure.
Needless to say, all of us here at Raw Dogs and Dogcast are extremely against the storming of Capitol building.
Insurrection.
Domestic terrorism. We're absolutely opposed to that.
I think a lot of people, they like to say that this isn't about politics, stay in your lane. I say that's immediately horseshit, because imagine 10 years from now, and all of us are sitting around here. We have to have a license to podcast, and you have to look at the empty chair in front of you, and you say, oh, that's where Dylan used to sit, and he's in some sort of political gulag.
If any one of us would be in a political gulag, it will be you.
No, I know, and that's why you would say it. But it's like, and we'll probably be talking about some state-sponsored Ubisoft game about fighting Antifa, but I just needed people to know exactly where I stand, because I don't have a lot of social media. So.
And enough of Mega Man. Now we're going to be talking about Mega Man.
Clever.
Very clever. Yeah.
Blue Unabomber, huh?
So,
Oh, boy.
one of the things we were talking about for this podcast, we're talking about Mega Man, is that everyone needed to come up with their own robot master.
Oh, yeah.
And I considered Mega Man, which would just be a sprite copy of Mega Man with like a wig on top.
Oh.
And he would just tweet attacks that wouldn't actually have hurt you at all.
Yeah, but except your feelings.
Yeah.
And Mega Man just looks sad, but then, yeah.
That'd be funny.
We'll get to our robot masters later, but Nate, you and I work together over at Eagle Park. Mm-hmm. And I know you are a gamer, but you had mentioned that Mega Man is your favorite series of all time.
Yeah, very much so. Painfully so, almost. It reminds me of, like, Souls-like games have come into popularity as of late. I think Mega Man might be one of the original Souls-like games. It's unforgiving. It's a side-scroller, but again, like a lot of the indie games now are very much side-scrolling or in that genre and considered Souls-like. Unforgiving, dedicated, very meticulous. You need to know the jumping, the movement, like the speed of the game. I think it's just fantastic. That being said, like with the evolution of Mega Man, it's gone wavy. I think it's hard to evolve a game that's so based in like 8-bit or pixel graphics and moving along. The amount of time that I've spent playing it in before I was 12 is painful to think about.
I think the fact that any one of us, when we were around that age, were beating a Mega Man game at all is a testament to how dumb kids are, maybe, or like how hard they can hit their heads against something. Like, I'm just going to sit here and fight Gravity Man 50 times in a row.
Sometimes it's all you had. Like, I played a lot of bad games over and over and over. Definitely Mega Man's not one of them, but because I played a lot of 2. But and the Wily Wars on the Sega Genesis.
Yeah, that's an odd one.
I actually owned that for like a year. Surprising.
Which is odd. I mean, if you had a copy over here, because it was never released on cartridge in America.
Did you have it the European version or the Japanese version?
My understanding was that Mega Man: The Wily Wars was only ever released in America on the Sega Channel, which was Sega's like online streaming service for the Genesis, which is bonkers enough. Check out the History of DLC episode we did, like Raw Dogs 15. That one was really good. But
am I confusing this with like Mega Man Soccer?
So Wily Wars is a remake of the first 3, and then when you beat all 3 of them, it unlocks Wily's Tower or something like that.
With some new bosses, and it's pretty much a remake, but also Dr. Wily actually got a time machine and went back, so it's kind of a retelling.
Well, isn't that?
But we'll talk about
this
that
is not
next
the
time.
lore episode.
Yeah, I was going to say, isn't that the reason why you have to play the first 3 in order to get it?
And then you
Wily Tower?
unlock more of
then
it.
you find out it's the time
apologies.
travel
I'm having
bits that he
false
did.
memories about something. I might be thinking about playing 7.
Yeah,
something like
that.
that.
There are so many Mega Man games, and you had mentioned, Dylan, like they're not bad games, and they're solid, fun, unforgiving games. And sometimes there's just like things that shoot out of a little hole in the ground and kill you when you jump, and it's like, fuck you, you're dead, is essentially how you feel sometimes.
It feels like a trap. Like, honestly, and it is. Like, the first time you do it, you feel like a fool that you might not have seen it, and then you do it again. You do the same thing, and you, like, hit an enemy, and you fall into a pit, and you're like, oh, great.
Well, one of the things that always stands out in Mega Man games is just how, like, when you enter a new screen, or as the old-timers call them, boards, from what I've learned.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Is that there's always like a little new surprise hanging out there for you. A lot of dead drops are what I call them. There's no travel when falling in between screens. It just means you're dead.
I think some of the most unforgiving, like different screen changes are when there are spikes on the left and the right side of you, and you're dropping down and you hit the bottom of the screen, and then it like loads another screen, and you're just like having to like move back and forth.
Oh yeah.
It's one of those things though, like it sounded so scary to me thinking about, and so daunting to go back and play these games. And I was able to play through all of Mega Man 1 through 11, granted with the rewind feature in Mega Man's 1 through 6, which
I don't know, 9 and 10, they're pretty hard.
They are hard. The games do get a lot more forgiving later on with the addition of Otto selling upgrades and lives and able to not let you die multiple times, which is very nice. But there has been a pretty solid framework for the Mega Man series since its inception, going way back to the beginning. The first Mega Man was released in Japan and North America in December of 1987. That was before all of us were born, I want to say, right?
Oh, yeah.
Just barely.
Good thing Tom's not here. I couldn't have said that.
I would have been 40 by then.
Tom was on his 3rd year of college.
And I
Did
think
you see Tom's post he did on Facebook? It was a picture of him as a kid.
No, I
in the
wasn't on Facebook. Oh, he did it on Instagram.
A picture
as
of
well.
Him as a kid in the newspaper. It says, "I don't want to get into farming. I like computers more."
I hate farming. I want to get into computers. I thought that was a blast.
Amen.
I think we're gonna find pretty quick, even as we get into this list, that I think one of Mega Man's biggest problems is overexposure. Probably.
Well, there was some controversial decisions throughout the series. The first one, way back in the day, directed by Akira Kitamura, and he was the one who created the initial sprite work, but there's one person whose name is most associated with the Mega Man series. And how would you say, Dylan? Keiji Inafune?
Keiji Inafune, yeah.
Yeah. He developed the animation and the character concept for the original game, and he was heavily involved with them all the way up, like 1 through 10. He was one of the main creative forces behind it.
And,
1 through 10.
also Mighty Number 9, everyone's favorite game of 2018.
Oh, we'll talk about Mighty Number 9. And this was actually the first game that Capcom was working on that wasn't for the arcade, which I thought was kind of cool. Mega Man 1 has some unique differences to the series that you won't find in other ones. There's a point system, which doesn't mean shit, which I found it confusing going back there because there are little drop power-ups that you see, and they don't do anything.
Oh, yeah.
And you find out after you beat a boss, you get like plus 10,000 points, which points never give you an extra life. Points never go to a high score screen.
I think it's just bragging rights, though, like amongst friends.
Yeah, high score.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
wonder if that's a
Pac-Man
speedrun
idea.
category or
Right.
something.
but if
like
you're not,
the-
if your game isn't really saving in that way, and there's no like leaderboard, I guess I don't really get it unless you want to take out a photo camera and just click.
I mean, Mario has a counter, doesn't it? I
Yeah.
know you get like 100 coins, you get a 1-up, but
Yeah.
it still has a counter.
It's a reward, yeah, but you
They
get
had a point system, though.
They're a reward. Yeah, the points don't do anything in Mario either, and that's just like a hangover from the arcades. I think something that
Probably.
they didn't know. Like, well, what do we do with the point system? It's like they have to be in there, but
It doesn't hurt.
So if you have a point system, but it's based on random drops, I'm pretty sure, in the early Mega Man. So, like, if you kill enemies, you might get bonus points. So,
so you can sit there and farm.
yeah, like, is it worth farming, especially when this doesn't progress your game? And is anyone actually going to ever care about the points being important? Like,
I don't
Pac-Man.
know, man. After
Tetris.
learning about speedrunners,
Yeah,
I don't know. A lot of dumb little stuff like that means a lot to a lot of people.
we watched a speed run the other day.
Oh man, I don't get it. That's just me though. When you play a video game and you're a completionist, like I do the tiny side quests before you do that, like skipping portions of levels and not actually doing it how the designers might have designed it kind of irks me, but I get it. If you can exploit it, go for it. So that makes sense in speed runs, but it kind of bothers me.
And there is a absolutely unforgiving aspect of the very original Mega Man, and that there's no password system. There's no continues. You have this number of lives to get through the entire game, and if you don't, back to the beginning. Which even Mega Man 2 is like, here's a password system. Like, sorry about that.
Well, in this game, you had 6 Robot Masters,
Yep.
which is a lot more manageable than 8, which became the series regular.
There is one part of Mega Man 1 which really pisses me off. And
Guts, man.
No,
I hate that stage.
the Guts, yeah, the construction site's not great, but and I think it's in Gutsman stage where if you didn't go through a Lekman stage earlier, you couldn't break part of a barrier to get the magnet beam, I think is what it's called. Yeah, the magnet beam. And that allows you to create platforms. And if you don't have this optional item hidden in a stage that you didn't really know you needed, you can't beat a Wily stage, so you have to go back, which it's... I don't know. That's some weird sort of gatekeeping, which...
I don't think that's exclusive to this, though. In Wily's Castle, if you don't save your crash bombs...
Yep, but at least you have your crash bombs. But you could get stuck there too if you like get to that boss stage without anything there and no W tanks.
Yeah.
That pissed me off. And you said 6 bosses. They don't have unique sprites. It's just like pictures. It's just like the enemies kind of listed there. Do you guys? Well, everyone knows what he was originally called in Japan.
Rockman.
Rockman. And America was like, that's not cool enough for America. And granted, Mega Man's a better name, but
It is.
apart from Rockman, some other names also considered were Mighty Kid, Knuckle Kid, and Rainbow Battle Kid. Probably my favorite.
Are these
Knuckle
in
Kid
America?
is funny because he
These were
specifically
Japanese
uses a
original
gun.
names. And Rainbow because you get to pick up different weapons and stuff and change your costume.
I actually
And they're
don't mind that
generally
name
color
either.
coded.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
I'm Flame Man. Now I get to wear red pajamas. Partially, he was called Rockman due to the nature of the rock, paper, scissors element of the enemies, which that was a pretty unique concept where you could start any stage you wanted. There's generally an agreed upon order. Most people will say go to this guy first, but certain bosses have weaknesses to other bosses, and it becomes a little progression that kind of once you get in there, you want to use the scissors against the paper.
Well, I think this game was pretty revolutionary. A lot of people do consider this the first example of nonlinear level progression in games in general. Everything else kind of had an order. You could do skips and stuff like that, but you still had to start out in the exact same spot every time.
At this point, had roll been introduced?
No. Maybe in like side fiction.
Yeah,
Okay.
I forget when Roll shows up.
So-
not right away, though.
My understanding of it was that he was Rockman because he had maybe the lore hadn't come into play at this point, but the reason that the music as well is so good in these games is because the creator wanted to have this musical aspect to it, and that's why they're called rock and roll.
Yep.
Because I know later on there's like villains called like treble and bass, and that's why he hired the lady that did all the music for it, and it came out in the 80s when music was like incredible.
At its peak.
We
Well,
could have an
but-
argument about that.
Yeah, that's a whole.
I mean, when you're talking,
I'm thinking 70s, baby. 70s
well,
is
yeah,
my-
maybe me too.
my decade. But I think though that they knew what they could do with that sound chip in the
Right.
NES. I think by far and away, this series has the best music on the NES. There's no competition for me.
When I came over the other night to play with them, I had watched a playthrough of 1, 2, and 3 at work earlier that day, and the entire time I was like working and watching it, not really paying attention to it. But what I was paying attention to was how amazing all the music was,
Oh, yeah.
and the fact that essentially each one of the things that you're doing is beating a boss. I'm actually really surprised that none of the music in this came up in the boss battle episode.
And I think I know why, because
Probably because it's Wiley that you
correct
would
me
have
if I'm wrong, but the boss themes themselves are a little different than the level themes.
Mm-hmm.
I think the level themes are the standout.
Right, yeah.
Because Nick and I were talking before the start of the boss battle one that if we could do Mega Man 2 Wily's Castle,
Just the stage.
just the stage.
Because that is so iconic.
Yeah. And even Brad was humming it and singing a little bit of it earlier.
That's probably my favorite Mega Man tune.
It is mine as well, yes.
I was surprised to learn that they had a different composer for almost every Mega Man game. Because there's such a through line to what it sounds like that you would have expected to be maybe a couple different people, but that every game had a different composer was very surprising to me.
Yeah, I guess I didn't really know that part of it. I had always just assumed it was someone that I would have been like, oh, yes, I've heard that name before, and then I would have moved on. But yeah, that's pretty wild. It's almost as if they had a house style that they specifically had to work with.
There's
Maybe
a
KG Inafune had a hand in being like, no, that doesn't work. This works.
I don't know. There's a really impressive list of Capcom, like a Wikipedia of just Capcom musicians, and each specific song and games that they're attributed to. It was very unique seeing that, because generally composers don't get a lot of credit, which upsets me.
Especially not in this era.
Yeah. Roll is in the first game. I looked it up. She's just in the ending for a little bit. So it was rock and roll. Turned into Mega Man over here. And like we said, Keiji Inafune this is one of the first games he worked on, this and Street Fighter for the arcade. A little bit of story. You got Wily and you got Dr. Light. These guys are pissed. Well, Wily's pissed off and he makes robots bad.
He's jealous of Dr. Light's generally favorable reviews.
He gets Nobel Prizes for physics. He's like, God damn it.
But at the same time, isn't he like, he's number 2, and that's what bothers him because he wants to be like,
He wants to be king
Dr. Light
shit.
getting all the fucking representation when
All the chicks.
I'm just right next. Yeah, why is he getting all the chicks when I'm right here next to him and I'm just barely not him?
You know that chubby guy's getting all the box in the world.
Call me Papa.
I mean, he looks like Santa Claus. Are we even
That is a
kidding about
fetish
it?
for many people.
Yeah, right.
Dr. Wiley looks like Man, I don't know. I thought about how I would do like a live casting for this, like, and the thought popped in my head. I would want Jeff Bridges as Dr. Wiley, and I want Nicolas Cage. No, I'm Jeff Bridges as Dr. Light, and Nicolas Cage as Dr. Wiley.
Oh wow.
I was thinking about
that is my dream.
I was thinking
coupling for
J.K.
this.
Simmons as Dr. Wiley. He could be good too, but Nicolas Cage could pull off that crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nick Nolte as Dr. Wiley.
As Dr. Light. No. Mega Man.
Is there a basis for Dr. Light and Dr. Wiley?
I think they went to college together.
I think it was Edison and
Einstein
and Edison.
I know Santa Claus and Einstein were the
you sure?
inspirations. Yeah, I remember.
I had read
looking that
something
up.
else, but that's okay.
I mean, honestly, they both make sense. Like Wiley looks like Einstein, and Dr. Light looks like Santa Claus.
Although Einstein is real and Santa Claus is a kind of not real.
Brad, how
Spoiler
dare you?
warning.
Whoa,
Spoiler warning.
Brad.
Brad, it has been 3 weeks. I'm still raw.
Spoilers. Christmas just happened. Not everyone has seen it yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jump and shoot, man. You jump and you shoot.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what you do for most of the level.
I think for most people going back to this, like even for me, because I got really into this later. I had played 2 and some offhand stuff. It's hard to keep track when there's like no internet database. But going back to the standard, Mega Man fires in this direction, and the only way you can hit higher enemies is you got to jump. Mm-hmm. I think that's kind of jarring for people, even in like Metroid and stuff like that. You can have an angled shot,
He always shoots straight ahead,
Yeah.
at least with the main weapon.
and it doesn't go that far.
And just like the trajectory of like those slow moving like downward guys that like creep towards you, it's like so scary. You have to
How are
like
you
run
supposed to
back
deal-
and like
Yep.
jump at them.
Yep.
They seem so non-threatening, and then they're just right on top of you.
Yeah.
And it's very consistent the way he jumps, because there are some very tricky jump puzzles. And as long as you're paying attention, I never found that I was not
You mean the
making
disappearing
jumps.
platforms?
Well, that's one of them. I mean, that's one of them. That's some pattern memorization that
Torchman, I think that was like the first one. Yeah, that wicked noise.
I truly think that is an unforgivable design choice. But I mean, I work through it, obviously. But if I didn't have that rewind function these days, I
Yeah.
would have been like, fuck this, I'm done. Bye.
Well, I know
Depends how old you are.
Yeah.
I know that with my previous experience, I was always just afraid to kind of use other weapons I had acquired when I was using like fighting through the stage. I just always used the Buster. And you know, like most of these games will replenish all of your weapons after you beat the level. So there's no reason not to use the other weapons you won't use on the boss throughout the whole stage. And some of those puzzles, when you look back now, at least the ones where you had the rush jet, you could just skip the entire, like, just like fly over the whole thing. And seeing someone do that now, I was like, man, I was a dumb kid.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Disheartening, honestly.
Yeah.
To the max.
Because we were trying to get through a spot in Mega Man 9 with when there was like the fake little parts of the platform, and we thought you needed to use a certain rush coil to get up it. And then we found out there was like, you also could use the jet and the concrete shot. There are multiple answers to these puzzles that I remember just trying 1,000 times
Yeah.
and being frustrated.
Even as an adult, it can make you feel like a fool.
Yeah.
Like, it's the easiest solution. Like, oh, well, there's a laser going by. How do you block a laser? And you just don't think about
There's
it.
a
But
Shadow Mega Man.
yeah, right. Like, there's something I'm not thinking of. Oh, it's just a concrete block.
I think these games feel so straightforward, especially, you know, the way he moves and the way he acts around in the environment, that I think you could be fooled into saying that there's probably only one way to do this. Because it just feels like that's what the game is. It's like, how do I get to the end of this? Well, like a straight line, I guess. I don't know. Right. Climb the ladder, do
Rock,
the thing.
paper, scissors,
Yeah.
right? Rock only beats the scissors.
But there is a lot of kind of like ingeniousness hidden away in this. There are so many weird skips in Mega Man 3 especially that I remember doing by using Rush as a hoverboard.
It's a deceptively simple game. It's pretty straightforward, but there's a lot of depth when you kind of know the possibilities. And I like what you were saying, comparing it to like a Souls-like earlier, because if you try and get cocky and just run through things, like one little jumper or some guy that you just think you can run by ends up fucking half your life bar.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, that helicopter guy that just took you right out.
Which one?
Oh,
that purple
I
helicopter
don't
guy.
remember
When we
which
were in
Mega
that,
Man that was.
it was 9. We were in the anti-gravity portion, and you were like, "Well, I'm just going to go all the way to the right because there's nobody over there."
yeah,
And you just shotgunned all the way to the other side, and this helicopter man just swooped out of nowhere, grabbed you, and ran you into a spike.
God, that was so good.
It's when you're going up slowly. You have zero gravity, so you shoot a buster one direction, and it makes you go one way. And I was all the way up at the top when I saw the ladder, so I just shot to the other side, and the dude grabbed me and just took me.
And the best part about it was
hilarious.
all three of us were like, "What the fuck?" And then Brad just goes, "Huh, that was pretty funny. I'm okay with that."
Yeah.
Yeah, that helicopter guy. We did especially because we didn't explore the level before that, and there's one on I think the first screen that if you go to the far side of the map, it'll grab you and just demonstrate that it's there.
Mm-hmm.
But none of us had done that, and then it just showed up right at the end and just got all.
And then the other one got me further down below. I'm like, oh, these fuckers are everywhere.
Yeah,
Well, Gravity Man is 9, you said, right?
This wasn't Gravity Man was in 5, but this is an
I was
anti.
going to say.
It's just like an anti-gravity portion of this level where
Oh,
you
with
just
arrows?
Yeah, and so
Yeah,
the arrows
okay.
that point
Yep.
up, you just kind of walk into it, and then you just start floating up.
By the way, still something super ingenious. They used that in Super Mario Galaxy. That's a good... I love gravity puzzles.
The original Mega Man, you beat through the 6 bosses, then you have to go through Wily's castle. And Wily's castle is always a section where there is no reprieve in between the stages. You beat the 1, you go right into the number 2, you don't get anything refilled. And it is going to be the most punishing section of the game. You get to Wily, he's a super cheap dickhead. Dr. Wily's eyebrows go up and down like 1,000 times while he's looking at you, and then he begs for mercy.
You think he wants to fuck?
I mean, it makes them look extra suspicious. Who moves their eyebrows that much?
Amelia Clark.
Fair enough.
Daenerys Targaryen.
No, sure, yeah, you're right.
She's got issues.
I guess I never really thought about it.
I guess,
I'm too focused on her beautiful smile.
Well, we know she listens to the show. We love you, Amelia. Thanks for supporting us.
It's okay, you can marry me, it's fine. Allie will understand.
And yeah, Mega Man 1 wasn't received too well in America, probably partially
Because of the box art.
due to the wonderful box art.
I think about this box art at least once every 2 weeks.
Do you know what we're talking about, Dom?
So I looked this up, and I have now had at least 6 or 7 nightmares about it for sure. This is
scary.
pure nightmare fuel. I don't know whose idea this was to put this on the box art. What would you even say? Is he like a 50-year-old space cowboy drawn?
He has a handgun and a partially yellow suit. Well, the Capcom USA president required box art by the next day. So he had a friend draw it in about 6 hours. And his friend hadn't really played the game. He saw a little bit of it and he thought he had a gun. And he's like, "Is that a gun?" The guy's like, "Yeah, just put a gun in there." So wasn't the dude's fault that drew it.
No, that's actually quite good for the night before.
Yeah.
As someone who frequently does it for the podcast.
Yeah.
And I'm happy that the box art Mega Man has achieved some sort of notoriety because he's a playable character now in some games.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I think he's a
I
skin.
can't wait for him to come out and Smash.
That would be... Why is box art Mega Man not in Smash? That'd be great.
I think honestly, this is just the main thing about this is that it's more indicative of the de-Japanification of all of these games. Because the original art for all of this is absolutely fantastic, and it's kind of a bummer because some of these. We're looking at one of the books that Brad has about the Robot Masters.
The Robot Master Field Guide.
Some of these guys look they could have been on the Disney Channel. They don't look that anime, so I don't see how it wouldn't have been entirely acceptable. I don't know. It's always such a shame because we lost out on a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, we should talk a little bit about the concept of Robot Masters. So look around whatever room you're in or car you're in and look at any random item and put man after it. And then imagine an entire Boston stage themed on that. Air conditioner man. I guarantee it would work.
Possible.
Doorman.
There's one called Junkman, who's basically a ventilation system.
I'm looking at one, Turbo Man. He's right back there, but it wasn't the
Man.
actual one from Jingle All the Way.
Fantastic movie.
Fantastic movie. World War I Man, Bear Man, anything. World War I Man would not be a
Sloth Man.
Could you imagine just like
A walking trench.
you're just going through trenches the entire time?
Oh God.
Slightly depressing.
The music would be like really great 8-bit depressing chiptune music.
And they could do it. I mean, they've proven that they can make all the 8-bit music.
And
yeah.
so every game is going to have some variation of a water guy. Iceman, Bubble Man, Freeze Man, Frost Man, Dive Man, Pump Man.
Splash Woman?
Ooh, there is only
I thought she
one
was-
female.
Well, I thought it was Mermaid Woman.
It's Splash Woman.
Is it
Okay.
Splash Dream? Or is that her like...
That might
is
be her
the,
power
Is
up.
that the gun that you get?
I
remember
always
reading
call her
that.
Mermaid Woman because she looks like a mermaid.
She's based on a mermaid, and she sings at sailors. She loves karaoke. I'm excited to talk about the lore episode. But she
Wave Man.
But she refuses to get into a singing career because it would. She's very proud of being a robot master as a woman, so she doesn't want to sacrifice that. So we can appreciate that, Splash Woman.
Yeah, get it, girl.
And I guess some of the most iconic of the robot masters are the ones from the first game because those are the ones that, if you saw any of the original animated series, you saw a lot of at least Cutman and Gutsman showed up a lot. I think Alekman was the first one that Inafune actually designed, so he's a big fan of that too.
I think the one that kind of separates the first ones from the ones after is that these characters, like the fiction of it makes sense. They're robots built for a specific task.
Well, they not every robot master in the series is built for a specific task.
The first one is definitely.
But most of them are. The ones that weren't like the ones that are exclusively made by Wiley. Even some of them had jobs. Like he created one that was his job was to collect entry fees at a garden, just to like Gyro Man. He'd just fly down and be like, "You have to pay to be here," and no one went to the garden anymore after Gyro Man showed up. But even Wiley created some things for specific jobs.
Brad, you are blowing my mind with this knowledge.
We're going to talk. Oh, I spent a lot of time on this. We're going to talk about the ethics of artificial intelligence and whether you can assign jobs to robots in the next episode.
Oh, shit.
Oh,
I'm going to have to brush up on my 3 principles.
There's another really nasty boss. There's another nasty boss that shows up in many Mega Man games that is probably my least favorite in the series.
No.
I mean, he's iconic, but he's my least favorite to fight.
I love Proto Man.
No, I'm talking about Yellow Devil.
Oh.
Which they didn't call him Yellow Devil in America because devils are bad.
But you fight it, so who gives a shit?
Yeah, it's the little guy. You fought a variation of him where he reassembles himself on the other side of the screen, and you have to jump over and memorize the pattern.
That was Nate. And instead of it being...
You fought it too, though, because he was calling out...
Yeah, it was like the blobs that are shifting on both sides of the screen. And we were kind of joint doing it, because while he was paying attention to jumping over things, I was like, now, shoot your gun now.
It was
3, 4.
not embarrassing at all.
Hey, you did it, though. You beat him.
Yeah, not... Yeah, I beat him. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah.
There's a pause trick in the original game where if you're using the electric beam, while it's making contact with the eye, if you spam the select button, it'll just like pause and unpause the game, but it'll keep registering a hit every time.
No way.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's a way to beat him in the original one that's not available later. The original Mega Man also didn't feature the final boss room that had all of the different teleports. To all of them, you'd actually fight through a few of them organically through a very unfair level. I'll say that. Yeah. And then
one thing I'd like to mention is specifically like as the boss level and finding these little quirks, the appreciation that like you can't just spam shooting a boss. I think that's very important where like you hit them and then there's the same way where if you get hit, you have that slight grace period where you're invulnerable.
you can even land on spikes sometimes.
Exactly. It can be a strategy which we exploited in later games because we're not the best players. But like I think having a boss with that invulnerability is equally as important as having it proposed to a player. Mm-hmm. Like it means a lot when you hit a boss and you can't just like get right next to him because you can only have 3 shots out at a time. You can't just get right next to him and explode him up in like 2 seconds. I think it's extremely important.
The amount of times I was a complete idiot and had the strong weapon against a boss and just went up to him like, pew, 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 pew. I had ran out of every one of my tornado holds or whatever, and then there's like still full health bar. I'm like, I should have paced it out.
Yeah.
But
I think you're exactly right. And one of the reasons I think Mega Man is really cool and I think their bosses really still work is that there's no way to cheese them. Even in games like Dark Souls, hate to keep bringing it up, there are certain bosses I know how to cheese very well. Mm-hmm. There aren't a lot of places to hide. So, yeah, I think they've got a good balance.
Later on in the series, once you hit 8 specifically, there are some very cheesable bosses because they have
My least played one.
like where you're using the weakness on the boss, they'll just like fall and be staggered, and then you can just wait till they get up and do it again. You can keep them staggered the whole time, which Mega Man 8 has its own series of issues. And
You just keep kicking beach balls at them.
I love that.
the soccer ball.
I love that.
Yeah,
Dom is the first person I've seen.
It.
He used the soccer ball more than the Mega Buster.
Really?
Yep.
I love that thing.
You fucking rolled with it, baby.
Very European of you.
Thank you.
Ooh la la.
Ooh la la.
Mamma mia.
Did anybody play the Mega Man Powered Up remake for the PSP?
Wasn't a PSP guy. Nope.
I had one, but I didn't have the Mega Man for it.
They remade the original Mega Man game with like a chibi style. Is it pronounced chibi? Chibi?
Yeah,
Chibi?
it just means cute or small.
They introduced 2 new robot masters, Time Man and Oil Man. Oil Man was very poorly conceived in that they gave him blackface and big old pink lips.
Ooh, wow.
And that was quickly walked the fuck back.
That's a common thing, though. They're not used to seeing black people in Japan, and then they caricaturize them. I don't like giving it a pass because Jinx from Pokemon
I was
had
about
the
to
same
say,
thing.
how did Jinx get a walk back?
Jinx
Jinx
got
is
a
a
walk back,
Pokemon,
but all they did was
was
just
a
lighten
monster.
her skin to make it look more purple instead of just purely
Oh, okay.
like ink black. Which is funny because that's not even how black people look in real life. So I'm like, I don't know, whatever.
It goes back to the days of early cinema.
Yeah, I
Some
know.
bad shit.
Minstrel shows are what they called them.
Mega Man 2 is the best-selling in the series and one of Capcom's best-selling titles of all time. When people are asked what's the best Mega Man game, this is the one that is most cited.
Yeah.
Interesting to note that this game, the creators, they're like, we want to make another Mega Man game. We had ideas that we want to pursue. And they're like, that's fine, but you can only do it in between working on other projects. Like, we're not giving you your own time to work on this. And that's when they made Mega Man 2, which a lot of what has become staples in the series was developed specifically for this game. Just like the opening screen with the 8 bosses with their portraits, the enemy hallways are all consistent at the end, and the most banging music. Like, they took everything that made the first one great and made it better, added a password system.
Which helps bunches.
That's interesting.
It
that
makes the game much more attainable. Like, oh god.
Actually, you mean actually possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I find it interesting how they weren't technically given the green light to make the second one when the ending of the first one is like very open to, we're about to make a fucking franchise out of this. You better watch the fuck out.
What happens at the end of the first one?
The way it ends is it's just like a field or whatever, and it's like, and Mega Man defeats the boss again, and evil is no more until next time, or something like that. I could look it up if you want.
Yeah, it's kind of like a shonen sting. It's like, it's the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like Wily will be the bad guy in every single game, though.
Well,
It'll be probably like Mr. X or like a Russian guy or Proto Man or something.
Koshak, he's got a name.
Dr. Cossack and his daughter Kalinka. Are you talking about Mikhail Cossack?
Yeah, I'm
Sergeyevich?
talking about him, yeah. I'm
Yes.
talking about him.
I know. I know too much.
He's got a real bad haircut, too.
Oh, yeah. The opening cinematic in Mega Man 2, I remember like the pan up.
That's pretty wicked.
Very iconic. Mega Man standing on a building, his hair blowing in the
Yeah.
wind.
That's pretty good.
I think it's very much an example of like gaming people who designed a game and they're like, yeah, how do we make our character look badass. And it's like, yeah. We're going to scroll up this building, and then our hero is going to be standing on top without his helmet on.
They're
in the
going to
wind.
teleport away once you hit the start button.
Yeah,
Love that
right.
shit.
Like,
It's
just classic.
it's something that almost every video game series has gone through, where it's like there's not a lot of storytelling in the original, and everyone's fine with it. And then eventually by Mega Man X8, you have to watch 25 minutes of mandatory openings or something like that. And you're like, ooh, they should have walked that back a little bit.
I find Mega Man 2, not just for being a really awesome game and the introduction of 8 Robot Masters, I like that Dr. Wily.
Dr. Wily.
Dr. Wily. I almost
Dr.
did
Wily.
it. I almost did it
Dr.
on
Wawoo.
He stages an alien false flag operation.
Oh, what a
which
great
is
ending.
my favorite part of the entire game. I'm like, it's predicting the future, man.
You get to the very end, and Dr. Wily turns into an alien, and it's like, oh shit! And turns out he can only be hurt by bubbles. Just
Standard
like
alien.
If you've seen Signs, you understand.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then it's the Wizard of Oz situation at the end, where he was actually controlling the alien projection the whole time. Dom, do you have something pulled up? You wanted to show us?
No, I have the ending of Mega Man 1, and it says, Mega Man has ended the evil domination of Dr. Wily and restored the world to peace. But then it goes on to say, however, the never-ending battle continues until all destructive forces are defeated. So they've basically put a never-ending franchise into the hands of Capcom, and they basically told them, nah, we're good, but if you want to make it, you can do it on your free time. Which
like
is
anything on
very
Netflix.
interesting.
Well, I imagine that they were really hesitant. If Capcom was mostly known for arcades at this time, arcade games made so much fucking cash. And video games on systems, especially if it was not like a name brand or anything like that, it just didn't sell nearly as much. So putting your resources into it is a real gamble.
And the first one didn't sell well.
Yeah.
One thing that is extremely cool that the series did for Mega Man 2 through Mega Man 8 is they had contests where fans sent in designs for bosses, and they received hundreds of thousands of submissions for the later ones. I'm not sure how many for each one. It's staggering how many different designs they must have looked through. But I was wondering when I was beating a game, like it'd say Swordman, and then there'd be like a Japanese name next to it. I'm like, is that like a creator? Is that the guy's real name before he was a robot? Is it an android? I was like, I don't get it. And it was just the person that created the concept.
Oh, is that what's going on in the credits?
That's what's going on. In
I
the
had no
credits.
idea what that was either.
Cool. No, that's cool.
Only 2 Americans ever created baddies, and that's Nightman and Centaur Man, which is
Centaur Man
which is a
rules.
little bit unnecessary to be a Centaur Man. You are like a half horseman man.
Oh, come on.
It's cool. It's cool.
I fucking you get the what's his ability? You get like a flash cannon.
I forget. I want to say it's a spear.
It's really weird.
Centaur spear, probably.
I think Dom's got it picked
It's
up.
Centaur Flash.
Yes,
Yes.
Oh, nailed it.
that was from 6, correct?
Yep. Because there was the robotics tournament where they had all of the robots from around the world come to participate.
I kind of like.
Oh, that was like the Robot Olympics, right? That was the...
Yeah.
and it's like, wow, we really didn't think we
Wowie,
need.
Dr. Wowie.
Wowie!
Wow, we didn't really think we had to protect these games from a sinister mastermind, did we?
From the guy who's been
Trying this,
plaguing
yes,
robots
I
for the
know.
last
Granted,
hundreds of years? How long is this going on?
Granted,
Pretty sure.
No, it's only
timeline-wise.
like 15 years. I want to say that the original
For the
series
first series,
goes through.
yeah.
And Dr. Wily in Mega Man 6, he did put glasses on, so you couldn't tell it was him. He like slicked his hair back and put on sunglasses, and he's like, "I'm Mr. X."
Clark Kent.
Yeah, it's like there's no way we could tell this is
He
Dr.
went hard
Wily.
in the Clark Kent.
His eyebrows are just going crazy behind those sunglasses, but they're hidden, so you don't know.
You'd think eventually you'd notice the eyebrows.
So, in honor of the character creation contest, let's have our own character submission time now. Dom, we'll go to you first.
So I spent a lot of time thinking of, if I pick this person? What kind of cannon would they give Mega Man? How could he progress in his, journey across all these levels to defeat Wily Man? I essentially decided on Dildo Man.
That is very Raw Dogs of you to say.
Yes, thank you.
Like a dildo. So like the power is like a dildo.
What I was
floppy projectiles.
Well, so what I was thinking is that he would, and we can riff on this as long as you want, but the cannon that he would get would obviously be like the dildo cannon, and you'd shoot dildos, and it would be like Plugman's thing where it would just send a vibrator along the, and it could go up and down the walls.
A vibrator.
And,
Okay.
It would jump on its own.
right.
So kind of
all right,
a bit of Snake Man in there as well.
A bit, yeah.
Oh, okay.
You're missing all the hand motions here, but they're fantastic.
Yeah.
We're all pretending to be really floppy dicks.
I was trying to think of like what weakness that would be, so I don't know if you guys want to help me out with that, but
I mean, if there was a Vagina
touching
Man
that.
before that one, that'd be an obvious.
Vagina Man, very problematic.
Or
I
no,
like it.
or
Fleshlight Man.
anal cavity man or something. Okay, so but now we know what. So we have the projectile, but what does Dildo Man look like?
Like a big
I'm
fucking
gonna need
vibrator.
you to draw this by next.
Well, and
podcast.
that's
You're the
I
artist.
I was like, are we all submitting these, and
might
then
just-
Dylan's going to draw them?
I will draw as many of them as I can.
Or if you
Honestly,
if you-
I'm suspecting a lot of
Just
ideas.
a big
here.
anime dick.
the thumbnail could have our 8 little guys for the next episode, and in the
could
very
do it,
middle will be
yeah.
the Raw Dogs logo.
Yeah, I'll do that. They
hoping
won't
it-
be like the highest quality drawings, but I'll get them all done.
Well, as long as they're
And then-
pixelated, that's fine.
Allison will come over. What are you drawing? You're like Dildo Man.
Dildo Man. She'll think it's funny.
I like the idea of like it's not quite like that super hard rubber that we're going for, but it's slightly slopped over, and then like the eyes are on the balls. I don't know. I'm just going real deep
No,
here.
this is
And then like he kind of flops up and like runs at you a little bit, and then once he gets erect, shit starts going nuts. You
I'm
know,
just
saying.
imagining literal, like, it's the same kind of torso as Mega Man and the other Robot Masters tend to have, but his limbs are just literally the dildos, and like he walks around kind of like
and
this.
maybe like he starts vibrating, and all like Buster shots bounce off of him.
Yeah, I
Dick
like
limbs.
that.
Yeah, I like it.
Nate, what do you have?
Cask Man. I drink too much.
Cask Man, that's cool.
So like you got him as a barrel, and like I unfortunately put way too much thought into it because I really like the idea. I'd like to do game design in the future.
Sure.
Multiple platforms, so like a cask is dry, it doesn't hold water. Maybe he's like full of water at first, and then he like explodes, and like there's water on the bottom of the level, so it affects your jumpability when you're on the base level. But you have 2 separate level platforms.
Oh, wow, you
and
really
then,
did think about
yeah, I did.
It's all good, dude. Can I make a suggestion for when he releases all of his water?
Yes.
Call it a bunghole blast.
Exactly, because a lot of people might not
That's
know
the
what
power up you get.
Yeah, that's the
The-
power up you get.
the
yeah.
bunghole, like it's a gas release chamber, that type of thing. So all this happens. You got the water, which affects your jump. You got to hit him. He's jumping around, and like the water or the level changes halfway through. Maybe if you damage him, like a whole bunch of stuff. But Cask Man, because beer.
Yeah, I agree totally. Brad, what about you, man?
I didn't give as much thought to the projectiles or anything other than the concept of Florida Man.
No.
I was at work and trying to think this up, and they were like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm trying to think of something." My friend's doing Florida Man, and somebody who thinks that video games is the stupidest thing of all time. I heard her like go, "Hee hee, that's funny," in the way back. So
Yeah, because I bet her hobbies are great.
yeah,
She knits. I mean, she likes to knit.
Very productive.
Like one of the things he could do, like one of his attacks, he would just shit in his hand and like throw it at you, and it would land on the floor. And like if you touched the floor where it landed, or you got hit by the projectile, you'd get hurt.
Like if like if Gutsman, if he, because you know how he picks stuff up and he throws stuff.
Yeah.
But it's literally you have a
Florida
poop
Man just like,
animation and then
he just like,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it only goes like 3 blocks out. It doesn't go
yeah.
far, but like it damages the floor in front of you.
And it gives
he
you
could
damage
pull, like,
over time,
He could
like
pull a
poison.
squirrel out of like a flying squirrel out of
squirrel.
his pants or something. Florida Man is like endless. What you
sugar
can do.
glider.
Who flung poo?
And then like when he gets halfway done, he could like pull out like a drug, and it'll just like give him more health.
the crack cannon.
The crack cannon, yeah. You get the crack-a-lack or something like that.
I mean, the power up is just there's too many options here. It's just too good.
yeah.
Just shooting bath salts at you.
Puts a broom up his butt and like bounces on it like a pogo stick. Like Florida Man is endless.
Yeah,
That's
The
not too
stage,
bad.
the stage would be fun too.
Yeah.
You'd just be going through like the Everglades, wind up going through a McDonald's spot at one spot.
there's a random snake and some other invasive species. Like it could be anything.
You're jumping onto the couch when you're going through a living room.
Mickey Mouse shows up.
Holy shit!
Whoa, it's everywhere.
Gosh.
This mescaline's crazy.
Not even I could have imagined this.
And Dylan, what do you have?
My first one is Man Man, and it's literally just a member of the band Man Man.
I don't know that band.
Oh, it's a really great band. I was thinking maybe he throws drumsticks or something. Man Man is a great band.
Some 8-bit chiptune version of their music for the stage.
Yeah, I thought that would land. I thought someone here would know, but otherwise, I'm thinking it could just be a human man, and maybe he like farts
He has like a
or
brief,
something.
like a briefcase or something like that.
Yes, he's just a guy in a suit. Man.
The stage is maybe more vertically oriented. You're trying to get to the top floor to fight the boss.
skyscraper.
Yeah.
Or it could just be Boss Man.
Oh,
I mean,
that's
it
good
makes
too.
sense with the mid-level bosses too, as well. As it gets later in the game, you got those mid-level bosses. Just a dude with a suitcase.
And then like the bad guys would be like, you'll fight a stapler guy in the level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe you just got to talk him down. Be like, hey, man, go to hell. You suck.
Because I most of the time I was just trying to think of puns, and I did fall on Florida Man for one of them, but then I was just like, Man is funny. Someone's laughing.
You could, I mean,
Someone listening to this is laughing.
I guarantee there's so many more options than we're giving it credit for.
and
I don't want to delve into
I
it
mean-
because I can just give it too much credit.
I've only looked through the Mega Man 1 through 11. There is 8X games. There is the Z series, the ZX series. Like, there are many men and maybe another woman that we haven't even seen as far as the series go. Because I know that there is entire Mega Man X where the bosses are named after Guns N' Roses, like, characters.
Boo.
I never got as far as those ones.
That's the one I downloaded.
That'd be cool if,
When
like,
when you said we
Really?
were starting this, I was like, oh, I'm gonna check out Mega Man X because it came out for like the Super NES.
No, I mean the Guns N' Roses one. I believe that was
X3
X5
or X5,
or
something like
X6.
that.
I have the collection, so
Yeah,
got
I
them
have the
all.
first collection as
Yeah.
well. That one I think is on the second collection. Did you get them both together? Then you might miss out on that because I believe that there is an actual main character named Axel in Mega Man X7, and I think the people he fights are like Guns N' Roses songs.
That sounds cool.
It's not good.
it's not?
It's not a good video.
Well,
game.
I'm sitting here playing Mega Man 8 and having a fucking ball.
That's fine. I'm not gonna
Soccer
I'm not-
ball, man. Soccer ball.
Soccer ball. I mean, yeah, those late X games are not.
and we will,
Acceptable.
I mean, we're definitely going to talk about those next year for the Mega Man X series retrospective, which will be
Oh
fun.
fuck! I don't get to talk about Mega Man X.
Not this round. We'll get to it. Special thanks to our Patreon producers, Mark Nenow, Ryan Christianick, Brian Ward, Tyler Keller, Dr. Wily. He's in there, I think. If you want to support us, go to patreon.com. We're part of the Greenlit Podcast Network. We are going to grab two or three of us are going to grab more beers. I'm going to grab more water because I'm on day 11 of Dry January. But listen to some of the Dry Man.
Dry Man. That's not too bad.
Yeah. We'll worry about him when we come back. But here is some other amazing shows from the Greenlit Podcast Network. We will be right back.
Hey, Chris, what's the War Rocket Ajax podcast about?
Well, Matt, if we were smart, it'd be about murders, but it's actually about comics.
War Rocket Ajax. It's not about murders, but it is weekly on the Greenlit Podcast Network.
Ellen, in 15 seconds, what is Nice Games Club?
It's our game dev podcast. Steven, help!
Game mechanics, accessibility, art and animation, level design, prototyping.
Everything that goes into making video games. How's that, Mark?
Nice. Listen to Nice Games Club wherever you get your podcasts or at nicegames.club.
we're moving on to Mega Man 3. This is the first time Slide makes an appearance, Rush makes an appearance,
Yes,
which kind of
Rush.
I loved both of these changes. The Slide is a very great way to get around bosses. There's a few different stage things that you can do in there as well, but mostly it's a great way to dodge away from things.
Full disclosure, this is my favorite Mega Man. Period.
The only, I'm not crazy on some of the bosses. I think Snake Man is pretty darn silly.
Snake Man is my favorite robot master.
Oh yeah,
I love Snake Man. I like that whole entire level.
the fight, the level's great. Where like you're fighting those mid bosses and it's pissed me off too. But yeah, I think Top Man, which gives you the top spin technique, which is not great.
Good, no, it's not good.
Well, it's an instant kill on Gamma.
Yeah. I never knew that, so
it's highly unique. Like Mega Man 3, super unique. Like top spin Snake, and you should go into the Wily stages. Like, so my origination towards Mega Man was I played 1 through 3 and beat them without like knowing that you could use powers against bosses and stuff and this and that. Like, I was young, really young. And
Dude was just like, I'm going to buster everyone.
Yeah, I busted everything. Literally beat all the bosses without using special powers and this and that.
Kudos.
It was painful. Like, thanks. I appreciate the kudos, but God, I wish I was just a smarter kid, honestly.
I still think that I'm like 10 years lagging behind in the mentality department. So
back to that Snake Man. So you the Wily stages. I don't know if we want to cover it now, but like I think it's
now would be the
first
time.
Wily boss. Like you have to use Snake Man.
Yeah.
There's one platform. He's got like a punchy, spiky fist, and the number of times I went through the entire game and got to that Wily stage and didn't realize that the way to beat him was Snake Man. Life. I want that.
You can't get it back.
I can't get that portion of my life back.
You're at a
and
loss of words right now.
You can sit on that platform and you can do nothing. And just like I remember sitting on that platform and not using any moves or shooting or anything and being like, I don't know what to do, and just too young to figure it out. And like,
did you cry? That was my classic thing. I would cry about it alone.
I'm a man. I'll never admit to that.
Oh, okay.
I might have. But like this and that. Like, yeah.
I was surprised to learn that there's like a straight up like cheat trick thing where if someone has a second controller plugged in the Nintendo and you just hold certain directions, it'll give you different like abilities. You can get complete invulnerability if you hold right on the second controller, and then you have Mega Man jump into a pit. He'll bounce back out and be completely invulnerable to everything.
You think that was a dev tool tip?
It might have probably one of those Nintendo Power things or whatever, but you could also do time stop, slow-mo, super jump, a lot of things, second controller. I never knew about this. I was kind of like frustrated to learn about it this late in the game.
Friends.
Yeah. Wow. I think everyone at this table maybe.
I played Mega Man up at my grandparents' house, which is 2 hours north of where I lived in northern Wisconsin. So it was just me not wanting to go outside.
I think you and I
hanging out with Snake Man.
Yeah.
And let's listen to some very important audio that was introduced in Mega Man 3 here.
Proto Man.
That guy's very, like, that whistle kind of sent chills down my spine first time hearing it again.
It's
very Western.
Yeah, it is. It's got a real Ennio Morricone vibe to it.
And I found out today while doing some reading of the Robot Master Field Guide, he actually is the one whistling it. Like, he whistles before he comes in. It's like
that's kind of tits.
It's kind of like the character from the Wire, Omar.
Sure, yeah.
Like always whispering that, like whistling the farmer in the dale, like to let people know he's around.
Oh,
the nurse from Kill Bill.
Yeah, yep. I love that Proto Man's always the one whistling. He's like, goddamn Proto Man. But I guess he's really good at whistling, is what everyone says.
Proto Man is probably my favorite character. I love playing as him in the later ones too.
Yeah, hit the Proto Shield's good.
I think he's I don't think he's like unique, but I think like what a little itty tiny bit of what a tiny bit of fresh air to just pump into the series. It's like, oh, you've got this weird rival now. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, I remember back in the day, he reminded me of Racer X from Speed Racer. Mm-hmm. The rival that is he like? You actually have to fight him as a mid boss for many stages in this, and it's like, is he a bad guy? Is he a good guy? Because he ends up saving you at the end, and you like, he's very much what Knuckles would later be. Mm-hmm. Just like someone who looks cooler and acts cooler and he whistles his fucking theme song. And
it's the Vegeta thing.
It's Vegeta. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a level of Dragon Ball-ness that's going on in these games too. The anime style.
In shonen anime, a lot of the things that like the virtues of like a lot of Japanese culture is like even your enemies can be your friends. These are like in like ancient Japanese texts as far as their mythology goes. So I like to call it kicking your enemy's ass until they like you a lot.
Even that, I think Proto Man might actually be cooler than Mega Man.
He is cooler than Mega Man.
All right. Okay. We have a consensus.
Potentially
think
50-50,
about it. Maybe.
Think about it. Proto Man has a scarf. So you do the math.
And he has the color red.
No, that's why he's cooler. I'm saying he's got a scarf.
Did you guys notice, by the way, that I wore blue today just for this?
Oh, sexy.
Wow.
I knew.
Blue underwear on, if that helps.
No.
I can verify he does.
I wore something.
You watched him pee?
Dude, so Proto Man's original Japanese name is Blues. And he's red.
But he's got a scarf.
But I
he
think
does have a scarf.
But I think they made it more on attitude. Like if Mega Man was rock and roll,
yep, and
then he would be blues like the Blues.
Mm-hmm. And then there's of course the new character.
Stupid.
There's a new character, Eurotrash or something like that, or Technotronic.
Oh.
I would have never put that together.
Why can't like there be an entire game based on Rammstein members? You know,
Du hast.
Yeah.
I mean, there can be. It's
not too late.
Mega Man 11, 12 is on its way.
We can do it.
Is 12 on its way?
I don't know if it's been announced, but I'm sure it is.
It's got to be.
Mega Man, the Wily Wars would come out for the Genesis next, and a controversial decision was made after Mega Man 3. Mega Man X had come out on the Super Nintendo and was very successful. And
a much better game, actually.
They opted for Mega Man's 4, 5, and 6 to remain on the Nintendo Entertainment System when the SNES was available. And I remember, 5 is my favorite. We don't need to go into too much detail on 4, 5, and 6. 5 is my favorite because it's the one that I had as a kid and I have the most nostalgia for.
So you like Hard Man.
Who doesn't love Hard Man? Although Hard Man was actually in...
Was it 4?
I think he's in 3. Hard Man is in 3.
Oh, shit.
He, of course, gives you the hard knuckle, which you usually have to pay extra for.
Do it.
The new introduction in 4 was the Charge Mega Buster, which gives you can charge up and you hold it. So instead of Jump and Shoot Man, it's Jump and Charge Man. Kind of becomes a little bit more.
I like that addition.
I think it's great. The Charge Shot
should have been in earlier ones as well, but
it gives you one Charge Shot is worth 3 regular Buster Shots.
Yep.
And just in Mega Man 7, they took it down to 2. Those fucking assholes. Like, what's the point?
Hated it.
Well, 7 sucks.
You don't like it.
I don't like the charge. I think it takes so you can make a big hit. So I think with the 2 in the charge shot, I think it's much more comprehensible. But with the just being able to make 3 hits, it goes against what I had mentioned earlier, where like that invulnerability period, where you're timing it, you're jumping, like you're dodging. You have to time your jump and shot with their movement and all this stuff. I think the original 3 charge damage shot was just not, it wasn't good. So the 2 is kind of okay, but I still don't like the charge shot. I like the skill shot. I like the individual skill shot of you time, jump and hit kind of thing.
3 shots on screen at a time. In 4, you could maintain the charge if you were damaged. You'd still keep charging. In 5 and 6, you lose the charge if you get hit. A little subtle distinction because, at some point, they start doing some weird things. Rush was always around, which was cool. We don't need to talk too much about 4, 5, and 6. It's more of the same.
What about Beat?
Beat was, of course, designed by Mikhail Sergeyevich Kosek to help you out after he was maybe the bad guy in 4. Turns out Kalinka had, of course, been kidnapped.
Bird, right? Bird.
It's a little bird, yeah. It's
Okay.
a bird.
Yep, you have to collect MEGAMANV, all the different letters to unlock Beat. And then in Mega Man 6, you just have to collect BEAT.
Yeah.
Which, that was the weakness to one of the Dr. Wily bosses. I think it was in 5.
I see, and the fact that 5 is your favorite, I know it has something to do with like availability, but I think 6 is kind of a swan song for the NES ones. Fucking good. Especially the fact that you can have like a jetpack Mega Man or
you know what's great about the jetpack Mega Man or the Power Armor Mega Man? It's Rush. You are literally putting your dog on like a jetpack. Like,
dude,
how
you're
weird
Megazording.
How weird is that though? Like, what is Rush going through?
He's a cyborg.
He's fine.
Right? Like,
It's just,
Well, I mean, they're not cyborgs.
it'd be weird to me to like wear my cat, but it'd be cool if I
What
could
if
fly.
Martin was a robot that could help you fly?
Now we're talking. Instead, he is sleeping on the podcast equipment.
It's the only time I've seen him peaceful in a long time.
Yeah, the Power Armor was pretty cool.
I like it.
Yeah, you get like the extra punch attack.
And it's more like it adds that extra layer of playability to it. I don't know. I think the jetpack power is obviously the coolest though.
Yeah, it's got a lot of utility.
Yeah.
And there was no coil or like rush jet, but you were able to fly around and use the Power Armor, which they did bring that back into Mega Man 7 as well.
Yeah, but I wish that game was good.
And they also introduced the Energy Balancer in 6, which is a power-up that I really enjoy, which once you get that in the games, it just distributes the weapon energy to whatever weapons need it, which, I mean, there's something about those old games which kind of sucks, having to pause, cycle through arc oil, go back after you use it once.
I agree.
I'm happy when it got to having the trigger
Legacy Collection.
the trigger buttons where you can like switch through things a lot faster. There's the robot tournament in 6, so they have robots from all over the country coming to fight in this tournament. They don't say where everyone's from. Tomahawk Man is based on the Native Americans in America. You have Blizzard Man, which is Canadian.
It was co-sponsored by the Red Sox or the Redskins.
yeah. That's still appropriate.
And this is like in the future.
Dr. Wahoo.
Dr. Wily.
We'll never change our names. Why should we?
Oh, gosh.
Well, and then there's, of course, Flame Man, who's wearing a turban, which is pretty cool.
But, they've got a lot of oil in Saudi Arabia.
It makes sense.
They burn stuff?
I put down that Mega Man Soccer happened in 1994. That's all we need to know about that.
Have any of you played this?
I played it.
think I have. I must have played it at someone's house.
I think it's canon. We'll get into it.
It's canon.
I think it's canon.
I just remember that characters could have like specialty shots and stuff like that based on like if it was like Chill Man or something like that.
Which is cool. I mean, I if they kind of made a very modern version, kind of like Mario Strikers.
Oh, dude, it'd be sick.
It'd be so sick.
I also
so good.
I also think though that like this is really the only way you could have gotten me interested in a sports game when I was little. So
I remember the baseball game on the Nintendo where you were robots that get into fights between
Major
running
League
bases.
like 20XX or something like
Whatever it
yeah.
was. It was. I was
Kill
like,
Ball or something.
dude, it's baseball, but with robots that fight.
All right.
So we've had 2 trilogies of Mega Man games on the Nintendo. Next, we're going to move over to the Super Nintendo. There's, of course, the absolutely amazing Mega Man X game that we're not going to talk about. We're going to talk about Mega Man 7. The Japanese subtitle is Showdown of Destiny. This game was created in 3 months.
Ooh.
That's an insane turnaround.
All right. So created and produced in 3 months?
The entire game was like created like start to finish in 3 months.
Did they have the original coding from the first game? That seems impossible.
This was the first one for the SNES, but it looked nothing like X. So
The biggest complaint for Mega Man 7, which I 100% agree with, is Mega Man's
doggy doo-doo.
It looks bad. Mega Man's character is so much larger on the screen.
Yeah.
You see so much less what's coming towards you. You can't avoid things as much. The jumping is bad. This is my least favorite game in the series for sure. I did not enjoy Mega Man 7. This did include the introductions for Bass and Treble, which would become the Shadow the Hedgehog of the series.
Barely remember Treble, but Bass definitely is.
Treble's like the
long-lasting.
badass dog.
Yeah, it's like his.
Okay.
Yeah. And he can wear Treble like a jetpack in a boss battle later on, too. And hopefully you have gotten your power armor unlocked, which I didn't last time I played it.
Yeah, there's not much to say about this one. I think the old times tables for these releases are just absolutely ludicrous.
It's amazing what they pulled off in 3 months.
No, it was playable. I'll say that. Think of what they did with E.T. in 6 weeks, I believe. He had 6 weeks.
Yeah. By himself.
Yeah, by himself. Now, this is with a crew, but I can't imagine a game coming out that even looked like that.
Dude, something cool happens at the end of this one where
he almost threatens to kill Wiley.
Especially in the English one, Dr. Wiley's like, robots are not allowed to kill people, and Mega Man and they have ultra slow, like, I am not just a robot. Like, he says it slow, like he's angry, and then he's like, I'm gonna destroy you. No, he says, I gonna do, because it's bad translation, I gonna do what I should have done a long time ago.
And to be fucking honest,
just kill him. It'll be over.
At what point has Wiley caused so much destruction that he's guilty of international war crimes and he wouldn't have been executed anyway? This is like some Nuremberg shit.
After the second one, and the first one, it's like, I'm going to give you one pass, maybe. But by the time the Joker has fucked up Gotham 10 times, just kill him.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, yeah, all right, let's send him back
I
to
have
the
a
mental
code. It's like,
institution.
no, you have a guy who's killing a lot of innocent people.
Maybe when the robots rush the Capitol building, that's when it'll all end.
Ooh, a little.
Oh, shots fired.
Timely.
So, what is the
I just watched
timeline
Solo
of Mega
last
Man,
night.
right?
It's
a
like less
couple
than 10
hundred
years.
years. Is it less than 10?
For the first
yeah.
11 in the series.
It's like 10, 15 maybe, but it's all in a pretty short time frame. Wiley does a lot of damage in a small amount of time.
X takes place 100 years after.
XX.
It's 20XX, so it's probably about 15 years, but when Mega Man X rolls along, it's like 100, 200 years later. I mean, if you want to get into it, Mega Man Legends is like 1,000 years down the line, but that's for another something.
I might try to get a ROM of Legends.
Way
I've
up.
never played it, but always wanted to.
It's not good. I had it. I was not a fan.
Really? Okay.
In Mega Man 7, you only get access to 4 bosses when you start, which would come back again in 8, but then depart the series after that. You start off with 4, and then you'd unlock the other 4 after that.
I don't necessarily hate that because then they have a clear, like, these are the 4 easiest, and then you have kind of a more ramp-up scenario instead of them just, like, shoving this shit down your throat right away.
And you're more likely to accidentally choose the right weapon affinity for a boss when you only have a few to choose from, which easy for the kiddies. I think they were trying to make a few things easier for them.
New system, new audience.
So one thing with the 4 bosses I think would be super cool. Just like 4 randomly generated bosses. One of them that is important that could lead to the next one, to the next one. So it creates almost a different statistical analysis where if you need to do this first boss or if you can beat another boss, like I think it would be very good to have 4 and 4.
Oh, sure.
Because it changes the numbers, like drastically. And if you have those first 4 bosses, like you could make the second 4 levels increasingly difficult based on the fact that if you have the first boss's power and you need to use it in a level, you automatically have it. Based on that, like I think it opens a whole nother dynamic, and that should be looked into.
Mega Man 7 was one of the first times where if you had the correct weapon in another stage, not only could you like unlock a certain power up that might be hidden, but it was sort of logic based. Like there was a jungle level, and if you had like the flame weapon, you could burn a tree and unveil a ladder, and that's how you unlock beat ultimately in that game. This also introduced Otto's shop, where you start collecting bolts, and then you can start buying extra lives, E-tanks, W-tanks, and once this happened, it became manageable. You could die a lot, but eventually you could just save up enough stuff to get through Dr. Wily, which Lord knows I did. With some of these later on, Freeze Man gives you Freeze Cracker, which is one of my favorite weapon names.
That's what they call me when I get too chilly.
Freeze Cracker.
I remember first hearing that weapon name in a Tarantino film. By Samuel L. Jackson, he yells "Freeze Cracker."
Oh, very good, Brad. I think one of the
Pulp
things
Fiction?
He doesn't actually say it. I don't know.
I think one of the things that hasn't been truly said about the Robot Master ordering in these later ones is that none of the weaknesses make fucking sense anymore.
No.
And like,
well, centaurs are weak to knights, and knights are weak to Yamato mans. It's like they are way out there for some of them.
It is almost like in the first game you could get the idea of what's going to be good against the next thing. Like Chillman is good against what? Like Guts, right?
I don't know, man.
And
I
so
can't
cool
fucking
because he's
remember.
so fucking cool. Man.
And Dr. Wily became obsessed with Gutsman because like 3 or 4 enemies later on were based on Gutsman design.
Yeah.
Like there's the Guts tank. It's
I
like
think he got railed by
there was something going on there. You could definitely
something
tell.
hot. Something fucking hot.
We're going to listen to a couple of audio clips here to lead us into the next game here.
Mega Man, today we finish this.
Hey, Bass! Why must I fight you? We are not enemies!
Shut up.
Shut up.
Just no.
And here's another one.
A strange meteor has fallen to Earth just a while ago. This meteor seems to be emitting a powerful energy signature. Something this powerful must not fall into the hands of evil.
I understand, Dr. Light. I'm on it.
Thank you, Mega Man. If you can, please bring the meteor back.
Okay.
Don't even know what accent.
Do you
that
have
is.
the Do you have the things?
No, that's just some
Man.
drunk actor. I think they called, and he did it over the phone.
If you do the full one, he
Here's one more. Here's one more.
What do you make of these?
These seems to be energy resources. But I've never seen this type on Earth. I don't know where this energy came from, but cannot let it fall into Dr. Wily's hands. You must recover all the energy immediately, Mega Man.
No, Mega
But
Man.
where is Dr. Wily?
That's a good question. We may be able to locate another energy emission from the radar room. When we find that meteor, we'll find Dr. Wily.
Dr. Wily.
Dr. Wowie.
Oh, God.
Yeah, Mega
Is that
Man
why
has.
you say it funny?
Yeah,
That's why we're all saying Dr. Wily.
that's why we're all saying
Dr.
Dr. Wily.
Little John.
Did he say bees at the beginning of that one?
No,
Oh.
he says Bass.
Oh, I
Because
thought he said bees.
the voice actors didn't know his name was Bass. So, why are we fighting, Bass? And he goes, shut up.
We could be friends.
We're at the wonderful PlayStation 1 game, Mega Man 8. And Sega Saturn a month later. This came out in 1996 in December. First game on the 32-bit consoles, featuring snowboarding sections and bullet hell sections. The bullet hell sections are very good.
Dom's favorite.
It is. We had a good time playing it, I feel like.
I had a damn good time playing it with Dom.
Yep.
The music...
That's a specific.
The music is great in this game. If anything, it's made to be a little easier, I think, for younger fans that might be playing it. But Mega Man can swim in this game, which is kind of odd. But the biggest addition is the new graphics and the voice acting, which there's anime-style cutscenes, which have not aged well at all.
The hair flip.
The hair flip.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Tell them about the hair flip, Dom.
So every time you respawn, you teleport in and then you whip your... It looks like he has hair.
And, well, he does. He does.
Well, I know
He
he
does.
does have, but like it looks like he's about to flip his hair back, and then his helmet like comes up and over it.
It's like a Bond girl.
A bit,
coming out of the water.
A little bit like the Little Mermaid, if you will.
Yes, like Splash Woman.
Yes. But every single time that happened, I was like, fucking rock and roll, baby.
You fucking love that soccer ball.
I did like that soccer ball.
Painfully, like...
It's a distance shooter, man. You don't have to jump to shoot him. You just kick a soccer ball at him.
There's an angle.
Yeah.
There's a good boss later on where you have to, like, shoot the soccer ball into, like, 4 different, like, things in the ceiling and plan your bounces right. That's pretty good.
I don't...
I'm
not good enough for that.
Mega Man 8 had some cool stages with like different designs. Swordman, you'd have to go through like 4 different puzzle sections to unlock everything. Clown Man, you actually go through a straight up maze at one point trying to get through it.
I just wish the level design wasn't so garish and like...
It is very garish.
Hard to look at.
Let's hear some of the other voice acting. Let's first listen to some clips from Grenade Man.
I'm Grenade Man! I'll be nice on you! I'll punish you! Yeah! Say hello to my cute bombs!
Sounds like me doing a voice.
Say hello to my cute bombs.
I think I could do that voice acting right there.
I'm Grenade Man!
It sounds like John C. Reilly.
Yeah, it kind of does.
Yeah.
And let's...
Doing a Wreck-It Ralph.
Let's hear the wonderful Frostman.
I'm Frostman. I'll crush you. I'll make a popsicle of you.
Yikes, Frostman.
It reminds me of the guy from King of the Hill, like Terry, the guy who's like, you don't know me. I know me.
I'll make a popsicle out of you.
I'll make a popsicle out of you. I really wish I think I should be hired as a voice actor. I don't know.
It's harder than you think.
I got one more.
I know, but I would love to do just that voice.
Here's Aquaman.
I'm Aquaman. I've been waiting for you. I'm Aquaman, but you can call me Handsome Guy.
You can call me Handsome Guy.
Just wow. I think is what is there.
This is perfect.
Yeah, those are some of the great things you might hear from some of the Mega Man 8 bosses.
I don't understand what my problem is, where like a game can be
stupid,
universally hated.
I
and
love
there's
Mega Man 8.
something that I like about those games, whether it's Skyward Sword or the new Paper Mario that just came out.
Oh no, icky.
The new Paper Mario is a good
Skyward
game.
Sword.
I like both of those, and for whatever reason, they're like universally hated. I like Mega Man 8, and
the new Paper Mario is a really good game. It's just not for everybody. And
it's a good game.
Mega Man 8's a great game. I have nothing but fond memories of the game. It's got things that aren't traditional Mega Man, like the snowboarding, like the bullet hell sections. The boss designs are all really cool. I'm a big lover of Mega Man 8. I think it's a good game. The voice acting has become a meme that's so big, though.
Yeah, and I feel like that's the sort of shit that I like.
Yeah, but that's the charm being added in. I get it. I think that there are games that are actually legitimately trying to reproduce stuff like this. You start thinking of things like Deadly Premonition and stuff like that, and this is just so indicative of a point in time in video game history that people want more silly shit like this, but they don't know how to go about it while making it seem genuine, because all that voice acting, those weren't, that wasn't a joke. That was some intern they made do a voice.
Right.
Like, so
someone's like, "Can you do a Frostman?" And he's like, "I'll make a popsicle." Like, you got the job.
Yeah. Brad, he's got the silliest voice in the office.
You can call me Handsome Guy.
Hey, get that drunk homeless person out here and have him do the what? How do you pronounce this, Mr. Wily?
But even then, like, it
$5.
could be,
Just say it.
It could be 100% acceptable based on the fact that, like, we all think it's goofy, but maybe if somebody was like, "Oh yeah, like this or that," like, it sounds like somebody I know who lived in the cold. Like, it could be anything. But that being said, like, it is goofy.
I mean, I don't like laughing at drunk, stuttering old men, but it's funny when it's Dr. Wily's voice, like the most renowned Nobel Prize winning scientist.
Right.
Yeah, I'll stop talking.
And I don't know, it's like Mega Man. There was like a period of time where everything was like getting voice acting and localization, but they didn't put any money into it.
Those early Ghiblies. Ooh,
and it's great. I mean, we're talking about it now because it was so awesome and bad, just like Resident Evil 1 or Symphony of the Night.
But it's also all you had. There was a lot of this stuff wasn't being treated with the reverence that people tend to treat it now. So
I remember loving the fact that like Clown Man or Frost Man said something, like I could hear their voices beforehand. Mm-hmm. And they extrapolated their personalities based on those performances in this Robot Master Field Guide. I know Aquaman is worried about his image because he has water retention, and that's why he wants to be called Handsome Guy.
I feel
Sure
you, buddy. Sometimes you don't get enough water, and then you start carrying more water.
There was a non-numbered entry in the series that came next, and it's very weird. Mega Man and Bass came out for the Super Famicom in 98, and the GBA in America in 02.
Never played it.
It's very odd. It's classified as a second version of Mega Man 8. It's got like the graphics from 8 and the sounds from 7. And Bass is playable from the beginning. He can fire in 7 different directions and do a double jump. We'll just gloss over that one since we're getting low on time. 2008, September 22nd, for the WiiWare, PlayStation Network, and Xbox Live Arcade, Mega Man 9 returns. This is back. There's no charging. There is no sliding. This is OG Mega Man at its best. And
truly catering.
It's glorious.
It's good, but it's also, I'm kind of just like, you could have tried something a little different.
I don't know. I love that it's just the old style.
You do?
Playing them again, I was so excited to go into 9 and then 10 because I finally got the stride. I'm ready to go through a stage. I know how to pace myself. I'm never going to jump over anything without checking if a guy shoots up across every little fucking opening. And I don't know. I was really hitting my stride with 9 and 10, which we'll just throw those in together too.
Yeah, they're extremely similar.
One of them, 10 is cool because they brought the composers back from every one of the original games to do a level or two each.
Oh, that's
so they
sweet.
all sound like the original Mega Man games, which is kind of fun.
That's why I liked, what was it, Home Run Man?
Strike Man.
Strike Man, thank you.
Oh my gosh, that was one of my favorite stages.
That's a good level.
It's a baseball stadium.
Yeah.
There's like guys just like throwing footballs at you. You have to like go up to a basketball hoop, like with the platform risers. Mm-hmm. That stage was amazing. The soccer goal mid-boss sucks terribly. I hate him.
I don't recall that much, but I remember liking that stage.
Yeah. I definitely don't remember that one.
Yeah.
So one thing I think that Mega Man missed throughout the progression of the everything is what they could do with bosses. So there was Blockman.
You're talking about from Mega Man 11?
I think so.
Because Blockman, yeah.
So Blockman's Mega Man 11, mix it up a little bit, but I think they could do so much more with the bosses, with
more like what you were saying with Castman, having just like more verticality to the levels or something.
Even since throughout Mega Man, they've reused enemies and concepts and all this other stuff. Weapons. I feel like the bosses
you can trade certain laser style projectile characters in the early games. You can.
There's always a shield. There's always a shield guy.
Yeah, I think the bosses could have so much differential dynamic to them besides what is just jump and shoot. Like Jump and Shoot Man, which we discussed earlier. Like platforms are always important. Like the dynamic of the level, even going from like the early ones of Flash Man, where he's considered probably the easiest boss ever. But like his level had a lot of variance in elevation to it. You have so much to do with it, to the point where like you compare it to Bubble Man, where it's underwater and you have spikes with the jumping and the timing of the jump. Like there's just That's so brutal. Much that hasn't been interpreted.
The difference between a tap and a press is the only thing that keeps you from death.
Yeah, and it's so much skill. I think it's been missed a lot in the later levels of the game that can just be exploited and made excessively important and things along those lines, which to the simplicity of the game really underlies to the point where you can do so much more with the same things that are relevant.
Yeah.
I would love to see that. I would play the shit out of it. And like
they did get some cooler weapons in 9 and 10 at least.
Yeah.
The black hole bomb was a very unique thing where you shoot out the black hole and you choose where to stop it, and then it absorbs projectiles and enemies into it.
Had the vertical adjustment, I believe. You could
shoot it
project
upwards.
it up or down.
I like when they brought some of that in. Was great. Sheepman in Mega Man 10. Whereas
I like Sheepman because it's like an excuse to have another electric based enemy.
And the Thunder Wool is the weapon you get, and you shoot out like this little like wool cloud that has lightning shoot out of it. It's great. I love it. Yeah. And if it doesn't hit an enemy on the way up, it just shoots lightning straight down, kind of like a Pikachu attack in Smash Brothers or something.
A thunder. I'm just kidding. That's what it is.
I support it.
Yeah, should be lightning.
I'm a Pokemon boy. It should be, shouldn't it?
150, the original 150. I don't know if it were drawing lines here in the sand, but the original 150.
There's a lot of Pokemon.
We've had an episode on it. You should listen.
That was the very first one.
Yeah, there will be another one.
There will be another one
because they keep releasing these fucking games, and I'm a sucker for every single goddamn one.
Mega Man,
I love them, but I just
Mega Man 9 and 10 also had DLC for the first time. New stages, new playable characters. We don't really need to mention. Well, we'll talk about it. We got Mighty Number 9. Keiji Inafune had left after 10. He did much of the planning and producing for the series. He said, "The reason why I'm quitting is basically because I think the games industry itself must change the way it goes about making games." On August 31st, 2013, he launched a Kickstarter for a spiritual successor to Mega Man called Mighty Number 9. So to me, by going Mighty Number 9, he wants to continue the series after Mega Man 8. Because number 9 makes me think it's a continuation.
No,
after 8.
it's because there are usually 8 robot masters, and this would have been like the ninth one, and the other ones got corrupted, but he was the newest model, so he didn't. That's
what it is.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Did you probably played Mighty Number 9? At least
I played it. They had it for free on like a PlayStation download.
Did either of you play it?
It's bad. I didn't go through the first level. I got it for free. I know that, but
it was not well received.
It's really bad, yeah.
And that was a tremendous failure. And then in 2018, on October 2nd, for the PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, and Xbox One, the glorious Mega Man 11 Gears of Fate.
My top 3.
Mega Man 11's fantastic. Really great game.
Fucking rules.
I think it's universally loved, yeah.
Having
the gear system is so good.
Having Arc Oil and R-Jet mapped onto buttons rather than having to pull them up at all. The gear system, where you can hit one button that will slow time down. The other one will give you like extra power, and then you can eventually, if you're low in health, activate the double gear system, which is very controversial, and that's why Dr. Wily was laughed out of college.
Fool.
We'll talk about that next time.
Huh.
You'll never be a successul robot man.
Robot man.
Double gears that I developed in college that I didn't use for 20 years.
This is the first time Mega Man actually has his outfit, like his costume will change with the weapon changes too, which looks great. I think that's a great addition.
Yeah. They illustrate it in the early ones, but...
And this is the first Mega Man game since Mega Man 2 to not feature Proto Man.
He got a lot of exposure in that second trilogy, the 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah.
To a point where he was considered the main villain of 5, I believe, right?
It wasn't him. It was actually Darkman, I believe is who it was, pretending to be Proto Man.
I mean, Proto Man by this stage is probably more of a pal.
And
I mean, it's a brother, right? He's a brother.
Technically, I guess if your creator makes you, I don't know.
Yeah, there's some ethical discussions to have about robots.
Oh,
there.
we'll talk.
But Proto Man's whole thing is like he was given free will, but a faulty heart.
And he thought when he was going to get the repair that would actually like repair his power supply, that it was going to be taking away his free will, which is why he left.
Yeah, which is why, and then he broke down, and then Wily found him, and that's why he's a bad guy. Is that? I think
if
the
Wiley,
generic?
I think you're on the money. I'm doing more research for next week.
It's true. If Wiley hadn't found Proto Man, the world might have been a much better place. But then again, we never.
But it might have been a
Mega
much
Man.
worse place because Proto Man helps Mega Man in a good amount of spots.
We must find Proto Man, Mega Man.
We must find Proto Man.
He's with Dr. Wily.
It's very
Dr.
weird that
Wiley.
these things that these guys create like living, but by all accounts, creatures, and then it's just like, man, we're gonna have to kill 8 more of these things.
I mean, you guys are going to go into the lore
Yeah,
more
yeah.
in the next weeks, and like, I believe in the later series, it becomes more substantial about like free will and robots. I don't.
Well, even in I think Mega Man 9 or 10, he's talking to them about like Wily's just Dr. Light's just using you. You should have free will, and he tricks them, which is actually also. These robots, well, okay.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
There's an
it's
ethical
weird that
discussion.
you program your robots to be stupid at the same time as giving them free will.
I'll make you a popsicle.
I'll make you into a popsicle, I
It's
swear.
2020, and we're talking about free will and stupidity.
It's 2021.
Yeah, I'm really sorry to
My
break it to you.
Oh, if you're still living last year, wait till January 6th. Shit gets crazy.
I'm still living in 2020 because I choose to live in 2020.
Best year ever. Here's some quick numbers for you. Mega Man 1994 series had 2 seasons and 27 episodes. Mega Man NT Warrior, based on Battle Network, had 56 episodes. Mega Man Star Force
I watched every episode of that.
Mega Man Star Force had 55 episodes, and Mega Man Fully Charged had 52 episodes. There are 10 billion comics. I rounded up, but there are a lot of them.
The comics are not bad. They used to be from Archie Comics as a brand.
And there's a team up with Sonic the Hedgehog at some point.
They're considered the same universe. We'll get into it.
And over 130 titles in the Mega Man video game series.
Too much.
Sorry, did you say
That's
100?
incredible.
130 titles in the entire Mega Man series.
Fuck.
Yeah, dog.
Some canceled games. There are 2 that would just want to mention. One is Mega Man Universe, which would have been similar to Little Big Planet with user-created content.
That would have been sick.
Ultimately, they released like a beta online, and it wasn't happening. And I think this might have been around when Keiji Inafune left, and Mega Man just wasn't cool for a little while.
A Mega Man Maker would be a real hit.
And yeah,
Bosses and everything.
That'd be
with
amazing.
levels.
Where you can like tweak how the bosses work and their like jumping patterns and
yeah, a Mega Man Maker. That's what you just call it, right?
Yeah. Mario Maker.
that's not copywritten.
It's simplistic enough where like it's easy. Like everything is Squarespace, right? Like
There would be the meanest fucking jump puzzles.
How would you do it without the touchpad on the Wii U?
The touchpad you can do on the Switch.
I know, I'm joking.
the number of times playing Mega Man with Brad here where I used the joystick on accident was painful. You can't use you got to use the D-pad. I use the joystick
Always
and
D-pad.
you
If I'm
just
playing
get
any-
mad.
If I'm playing any 2D side scroller and I can't use the D-pad, I get livid.
Yeah.
I'm like, this should not be. It should not be possible.
I was surprised to learn when I was interviewing Grand Pooh Bear. He's one of the best Mario players in the world. I was interviewing him out at Portland Retro Gaming Expo. I asked, what do you play Mario Maker on? Because it's like, which controller specifically? Because you're the master. And he says, actually, you use the Pokken controller because the D-pad is better on the one designed for the Pokemon Tekken game. He says it's way better, and it's got, I don't know, he described the D-pad, how it works, but it's noticeably
it's like a legit
different.
D-pad.
It's
interesting.
It's much different, and the other game that was canceled, Maverick Hunter, which was going to be led by veterans of Retro Studios, a first-person shooter version of Mega Man from the people that created Metroid Prime. You can see videos of it. It looks bad.
Yeah, I've never even heard of this.
This video, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna look. Don't get me wrong.
This is based on the later episodes of Mega Man where there are like robots called Maverick Hunter.
It would have been a retelling of Mega Man X.
Well,
Very excited for next Manuary.
Yes.
Or Mega Manuary. When we talk about
X is gonna be so sick.
X, because it is some bonkers ass shit from what I've just on my Switch have seen.
It's one of those things where you can watch Mega Man's 1 through 11. you can watch a series evolve. It peaks early, but it's still fun and playable most of the time. Mega Man X, you can just see something that's perfect slowly become less and less perfect over time.
That first Mega Man X is
sound. It
my
is
favorite Mega Man game that's ever existed. It's never going to change. I just love the way it functions all the way through. And I mean, God bless them for keeping on in the classical tradition. I mean, it's what they do with Mario games still. They'll give you a new Super Mario Bros. For every awesome grand scale one they make.
Well, this brings us to the end of this, the Mega Man series retrospective. Let's all go around and just say what our favorite Mega Man game is, and one more time if we didn't say it before.
Nate, my favorite Mega Man is 3.
Because of Snake Man?
Because I played it so much that I have no choice but to choose 3.
Mine is 3 as well. It's got Rush in it. It's got the power slide. It's got so much stuff going on. And also Snake Man. I think Snake Man's stage has... I'm actually going to put this above Dr. Wily's castle. And I fucking love everything about that stage. There are giant mechanical snake heads that are popping out of the ground. And I'm just like, how can I not love this? So...
Very unique design. Very green.
I mean, it's just... I got better vibes from it.
Throwing it over to you, Dom.
8.
8.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm with you there. I love 8. Not everyone does.
A video of you kicking around that soccer ball.
Oh, dude, I ran out of soccer balls. That's how many I used.
It's like crazy, dude.
It was great. It was fantastic. I got to witness it. I
like
loved
one
it.
of those famous soccer players. Like, hold on. Pele.
Hey.
I'm more of a Lionel Messi fan myself.
I just literally have
Messy
to come up
Man.
with a name.
Messy Man could be good.
I'm a messy man.
Fernando
He's
Torres
just shirts everywhere on the floor.
He's an adult baby. One of those fetishes, and he just poos his diaper and he throws diapers.
Like in Spirited Away, like a giant baby.
Yeah, exactly.
There we go. Miyazaki Man.
Fantastic.
I'm actually going to say my favorite. Oh God, I'll go Mega Man 5. I kind of want to say Mega Man 11 though. Mega Man 11 is a perfect modern take on the game in my opinion. But as far as the classic ones go, you can't go wrong with any of them. I'd probably enjoy 5 the most just because I spent the most time with it, and I like a charge shot. Give me a charge shot. And that brings us to the end of the Mega Man series. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram. We're Hair of the Dogcast on there. And we are on Twitter at HotDogcast. If you have your own Mega Man boss concepts, names, designs, shoot them our way. We'll read them on the next Mega Man episode for sure. We also want to do a very special welcome to new Patreon supporter Camellia. Thank you for supporting us, and very excited you're listening. Tell your friends.
If you come up with a great Mega Man boss name, I'll draw it and I'll include it.
And Dylan, how can they support us on some site that might be Patreon?
Oh, you're really you're leading me into this.
Point it out.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you can support us on Patreon.com. We've got multiple tiers for all styles and all varieties. However you can support us, we're thankful for it no matter what. If you give us enough, though, we'll take you out on the fucking town. That's all I'm saying. And if you donate enough, we will also dedicate episodes to you. So,
and by donate enough, it's $10. Like if you just donate $10, we'll do any episode topic you want. We have one coming up from one of our supporters, Ryan Christianick, we're very excited about. And also, special assignment to Lame Dog Dad. Can you make a concept for Australia Man or Outback Man for us? And what would the Australian-based level look like?
No.
Also, if you want to support us...
They already did a lot of kangaroos.
Well,
there
trust
are a
me,
lot of kangaroos.
He talked to me about like a whole design for like an Australian game. It'll be great. And if you have a chance, go to review us on whatever podcast service you're listening to us on, Apple Podcasts. Please write us a review there. Helps us more than you know.
Please make it 5 stars.
Yeah, that'd be great.
If you want to call me a piece of shit and then rate it 5 stars, I'm ready for that.
We'll read the review regardless. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll be back in 2 weeks to discuss Mega Man lore bukkake, as we call it, where we talk way too much about the ethical implications of Splash Woman because it needs to be said.
There are a few.
And I'm going to make sure that at least one of us, besides me, reads the Robot Master Field Guide because it is a strange and beautiful torture.
I'm taking it home with me.
The first hour, you're like, this is kind of cool. And then eventually you're just like, this is so stupid.
I'm so excited.
I'm excited to learn this timeline.
Quotes. I wish I could take a highlighter to it.
So,
Brad, what's your favorite anime, though?
Dude, what is your favorite anime, as Plugman says?
Yeah.
Sailor Moon. I mean, it's straightforward. It's Sailor Moon.
It's going to have to be Dragon Ball Z. I'm a simp.
Yeah, you are a simp.
But I like Dragon Ball Z.
You're simp and sus.
You know who Iceman looks like? Iceman looks like the Ice Climber's older brother or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's scary, little fucker.
Iceman doesn't look like a robot. He looks like a little dude in like a parka.
It's really weird. It's really weird that a robot needs a parka.
We'll see you next time, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.
But where is Dr. Wiley?
That's a good question. We may be able to locate another energy emission from the radar room. When we find that meteor, we'll find Dr. Wily.
I'm Frostman. I'll make a popsicle of you. I'm Grenade Man. I'll be nice on you. Yeah. Say hello to my cube bombs.
I'm Aquaman, but you can call me Handsome Guy.